All right, everybody, welcome back to the Millennial Sales Podcast. This is your host, Tommy Tahoe Alemo, and this is the podcast where young sellers come to learn about the craft, to up-level their skills, to progress on their career, get more money, make more sales, get the next job, whatever it is that is next on your path for sales. That's what we're here for. We're all learning together. Sales can be the best job in the world when done right. It can be the worst job when done poorly, as John Barrows says. So happy to help everyone kind of get on the right path, as I'm on the path as well. Thanks for tuning in. The last Monday before the end of the quarter for many of us, or at least before the end of the month. So I'm hyped up. I'm fired up. I'm excited. I've got my coconut cold brew from Trader Joe's poured and my flamingo shirt on. So we're rolling. Excited to get into today's podcast. This is going to be a solo episode. Before I do that, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. First up, we've got gong.io. Gong, what can I say? The number one sales technology that's ever been created, number one revenue intelligence platform. I love it so much. I went to work there, and it's really changed my life and changed my career. So all I could say is you absolutely have to check it out if you're interested in driving more revenue, if you're interested in coaching your sales team, learning about your market, learning about your competitors. There's really no second option other than Gong. So if you're interested, go to gong.io, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm Tom Alemo on LinkedIn. DM me. I'll point you in the direction of someone. I had a business development leader hit me up just today, and I introduced him to someone on the business development team on our side. And now we got a meeting set up. So if you have questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm also giving a shout out to postal.io. So in a world where everything is spray and pray, everything is, super automated, Postal helps you to customize the gifts that you send to a customer or a partner or a prospect. So it could come from the florist across town, the brewery on the street corner, things like that. So super cool technology there. I use it with my customers as well. A thing that we're doing for the last few days here of June, if you go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review for this show, and then you send that to me on LinkedIn, that should only take you about 47 seconds. They'll give you a free Starbucks gift card just right on the spot. So it's pretty easy, win-win for all of us around. So check out them, check Gong, check out Postal. A lot of love for both of them for supporting the show. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Tommy Tahoe, LinkedIn, Tom Alemo, obviously Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all over the place. So let's get into today's piece of content. I put out a LinkedIn post last week that really took off, and that's what I want to base this podcast around. So I wrote about, I joined B2B sales, the sales world just over 6 years ago, June 1st of 2015. And it's changed my life in so many ways. And so I wrote, because 6 years, I wrote 6 things that I wish people told me when I first started. And I'll expand a little bit more than what I did when I posted. So number one, embrace a growth mindset, right? Anything that you start with, anything that you start at, you're going to suck, right? If you start playing the violin, if you start making, being a cook, if you start trying to learn a language, you're going to be terrible when you first start. And it's just like that with sales. There's some things that, might be intrinsic to you, like working with people or being organized or, being persistent, or some of these skills that may be already internal. But in general, there's going to be a lot of the process that is really challenging. And that'll be the parts will be different for everyone, but the challenge will be there for everyone. And the best advice I can give on that is to just go out, try to get 1% better every day. There's a great book. I've talked about it before. James Clear, Atomic Habits, where he says, if you get 1% better every day and you trace that out on a graph for a year, you'll be like 30 times better than you were when you started the year. On the inverse, if you got 1% worse every day, you'd be just that much worse than when you started. And so I'm a big believer that you don't have to do massive things, but little bits of action and activity every single day can really add up. So have a growth mindset, embrace the failure that's going to come, and know that you're just getting better. Progress over perfection is something I like to say. Number 2, 5149. Make every interaction more valuable for the other person, right? So you're writing an email to a prospect. It's not about you. It's not about the meeting that you want to land. It's not about you selling them your product, right? What can you help them with? What can you teach them? What can you educate them on, right? Unless you are checking off any of those boxes, you're not going to make a difference. You're not going to break through, right? So it has to be at least 51%, ideally more than that, about the other person. You're working with a customer. You want them to sign before the end of the month or the quarter, right? We're at the end of the quarter right now for a lot of us, for me as well. That's a selfish request. Why is it important for them? What are you doing for them? That doesn't mean you have to discount, but is there some sort of timeline that they're working on that this benefits them, right? It should be about them. Your boss, right? Not everything's about you. How can you make their life easier? Your colleagues, people on your team, the company as a whole, right? You're obviously benefiting from a lot of these people. You need help. That's very fair, but you want to try to add value as much as you can, right? Be the person that you're listening to this podcast, share it out with your team, right? You want to be known as the person that is learning and is sharing some of those learnings with people, right? You read a great blog, you read a great book, you come across a tactic, you stunk on a call, or you did a great job on a call, share that with the team. It'll be a great way to get better. So that's another one, 5149, make everything about the other person. That's like just a good life tip too, right? I mean, no one wants to be talking to the person that only talks about themselves, right? You want someone to be interested rather than interesting. Number 3, be a student of the game. I remember my first meeting in person that I went to in my sales career, in B2B sales, not Cutco. Long story short, it was a randomly big deal that, started to happen. And we got the CMO of this hot startup, chief marketing officer, my head of sales, and me and my boss. We go to their office for like a Friday lunch meeting scenario. And essentially, I brought sandwiches. I ate 2 sandwiches and I said 0 words because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know anything about the buyer. I also didn't know anything about sales. So there's kind of 2 ways that you can be a student of the game, right? One is be a student of your buyer, right? You sell to salespeople. Okay, what do sales leaders read? What blogs? What podcasts do they listen to? Who do they follow on LinkedIn? What books do they read, etc. Right? You sell to technology, IT people, marketers, whatever it is. Figure out what they read to get better at their job, and you should be reading those too. Okay, 1 article a day. That's all it takes. 1 article or 1 podcast, 1 piece of content a day. It won't mean anything in a week, but in 3 months, you'll know a lot more than a lot of your colleagues. The other side of being a student of the game is what you're doing right now, right? Listening to this podcast, getting better at sales, reading sales books, psychology books, mindset, self-help, writing, influencing, communication. There's books, there's podcasts, there's YouTube channels up the wazoo. I have lists on my site if you want to check them out. I wrote a book, an ebook last year. You could check it out on my LinkedIn page, How to Thrive in Your First Year of Sales. Like, there's so many great resources out there. So be a student, take time, 30 minutes a day where you learn a little bit about the customer and a little bit about sales and psychology. Number 4, this is probably the most controversial of them, but I say survive your first year, right? Some of the absolute best salespeople that I know wanted to quit within 6 months because there's so much adversity that you hit in your first sales job in the first 6 to 9 to 12 months, where there's just so many no's and so much rejection, and it all piles on you. And if you're not used to it, it can be really disheartening, and it's easy to quit, and it's understandable to quit, but you can't quit because what's on the other side of that turmoil or that frustration, that sadness, that anxiety can be a lot of success. And if you do it for a full year, and you get to the end and it's not right for you, there's no harm in that. There's no harm, no foul. Most of us are going to be working 45 to 50 years, right? So if you spend one of those years in sales, learning a lot of skills that are going to benefit you through life, throughout your career, there's no harm, no foul in that, right? And if it's not right for you, go into marketing or customer success or teaching or operations or something else, be a writer, be a YouTuber, whatever it is that you think your next path will be. There's no shame in that. But give it the full year, right? Don't stop now. Don't stop when it hurts. Don't stop in the middle. Stop when it's over, right? And that's, you want to, there's some pushback on, well, if you hate, every day of your life, why are you going to keep doing it? There's something to be said, in my opinion, about pushing through, knowing something's probably going to suck for a little while. It's the same thing if you want to get in shape. It's the same thing if you are maybe taking a night class and you want to get your master's or some sort of degree, right? It's the same thing if, you're trying to build a personal skill on the side, right? Or a side hustle, right? It's really hard work, but it can be really beneficial. So survive your first year. Number 5, the number 5 thing of when you start your sales career is find help, right? I think we're surprised to hear that mentees, the people that might mentor you, want to help, right? They are people that are successful. They're busy. They've got a lot going on, but you know what? They also do want to help you, right? They get satisfaction out of finding someone that's hungry and humble and wants to get better. And so you can find help from, if you have a great boss, that's amazing. From my experience, a lot of salespeople would say that they don't have a great boss. I'd say more than half would say that. So you might have a great boss. You might not. You might have great colleagues, people on your team. I'm sure there's someone on your team that you look up to and that you think is great. Other people at your company, and even random people on LinkedIn. I have made so many great connections personally and professionally especially the last year and a half throughout COVID, while we've all been cooped up inside, hitting people up. I listen to a podcast like this. I hit the person up. I start chatting them up. I start building a relationship, a webinar, I read a book or a blog, and just build it over time. And so find help. And the number 6 is just be you. Everyone has their own style of communicating and of being successful and of doing their thing. And it's easy to see someone and want to try to copy their style. Just like when you grew up playing maybe basketball, you wanted to be Michael Jordan or Allen Iverson or Lisa Leslie or whomever you wanted to be. Or a musician might copy someone that they looked up to. It's easy to find someone that's successful and try to copy them. But the sooner that you can learn to bring your own individual style, that could be how you dress, how you talk, how you write, how you handle negotiations, all of that, and just be yourself. People will be able to respect that and want to deal with you. So those are my 6 things. I don't know everything by a long shot. I'm still trying to figure out a lot. I'm still stressing here the last few days of the quarter, but I hope this is helpful as you're navigating. If you ever have questions, you can always hit me up. The best place to do so is probably Tom Alemo on LinkedIn. I get DMs all the time. Tommy Tahoe on Twitter and Instagram. And then please show some love. First of all, show some love to the sponsors, Gong and Postal. Show some love to me. Subscribe, leave a review. Been doing this show almost 4 years and just grinding this thing out. This one happens to be on a Friday evening. So really appreciate all the love and support from you all. Without further ado, that's all I've got for today. I'll be back on Wednesday with a great episode with the Devin Reed from Gong. And we'll kick it. And I'm wishing everyone best of end of month and end of quarter. That's it for today. Peace.